Hello and welcome to Sigma. The module name is Sigma, and here we are going to talk about the most important part, I would say, this initial, the starting of the journey about data. So we are going to talk about data preparation and wrangling. From this module onwards, the entire journey will be demo based and it will be completely hands-on. So be with us as we take you through the journey of data preparation and wrangling. In the first module, we are going to talk about the importance of data preparation and modeling. And then in the second module, we are going to talk about the cleansing part of it, the Power Query part of it. So then in the first module, we are going to identify the data source, and then we are going to take it as an extraction of the data into Power BI. That's the first part that we are going to do right away. Post that, we are going to go to the ETL part of it, which is Power Query. And we had already discussed that, okay, what are the segments? Primarily Power Query we have, Power Pivot we have. So these are the two focus points of this entire module that we have. And then definitely we will go on to the visualization section. So without any further delay, let's move on to the components of data preparation. In this preparation, we will talk about how do we actually identify a proper data source, and how do we actually prepare the data source so that we can develop a good model and a visualization plan. Now, we call this as self-service BI. So which means that, earlier what used to happen is we had IT and we had business. They were working in silos. Now with the onset of the concepts of self-service BI, now what has happened is IT has learned something about the business, and business also has started learning something about the IT. So they have joined together, they have joined their hands together, and the outcome is amazing. So that outcome we are going to see in this particular module. We will see that how getting inside the BI or the self-service BI part has reduced the load of IT, and it has actually given confidence to the business as well. So as we proceed, we will talk about how to improve data accuracy, how to actually lower the training cost. Because what happens is when both IT and business comes in one place, definitely you don't have to separately train both the clusters, right? So they can be trained together. And they will go hand in hand, where the business will talk about their problems and IT will actually give them solution that actually binds and then gets in one capsule. That's what we are going to see in this entire module. We will be moving on to the concepts of increasing productivity and how do we maximize the data output actually, right? So in this section, in this particular module, we are going to talk about real-time data analytics. We are going to talk about how to derive insights in a faster manner, in a quick manner, and then how do we customize reporting. That is also one important aspect, one very important concepts over here. And we will learn how to do or how to go about collaborative decision making. That is the essence, that is the need of the hour, what we call it. So let's begin the journey. Let's begin the journey of data, business, intelligence. And for this purpose, what we are doing is, so in this particular section, in this particular program, we are not going to take any, as such, let's say any Excel file or any CSV file or any made file, what I'm talking about. Since the beginning, since your Omega module, you have seen that, okay, we have taken some very different type of data sets. Be it attrition data or be it some other Nike data or Uber data. So throughout this journey, we are going to take some off-the-track data sets, and in this entire journey, I will be focusing on one set of data, which is actually an ERP kind of a data. And this is a very famous ERP system, and this is a training data set actually from Microsoft, and we call it Northwind Traders data. So we will be going on to the Northwind Traders data. Just have a look at the screen. So the link will be shared with you definitely. So this is Northwind Data, and if you look at the URL over here, so it is services.odata.org. This is the most important section. This is the most important part we are talking about. So in this module, we are going to see how to take this data. I mean, it looks like this is a simple metadata, and even if I just expand this, I'm not going to see the data. So which means that though it looks like this is a entire database, but it is not. That's the capability of your XML data, and that's the capability of what we call it as ODP, or Open Data Protocol. So here we are going to see how OData makes entry and how OData actually uses auth2 authentication actually to take the data from this segment and then bring it to Power BI. Let's see live how this happens. So the first thing first, I will just copy this URL, and I have got Power BI. This is the Power BI setup. So let me just introduce you to Power BI. So once you open Power BI, this is how the entire stage looks like. So on the left hand side, we have got the report view, we have got the data view, and we have got the model view with us. And then we have the center stage, and then we have filters, visualization, and data on the right side. Now, some people ask me that, okay, how do you correlate this with Microsoft Office or other Microsoft products? And I mean, is it tough to learn? It looks like in the first instance, it looks like this is a very typical some setup or something, some software, very typical software. I say that very simple thing. I hope you have all used PowerPoint. They say, yes. I said that, okay, I hope all of you are aware of Excel. Though not very advanced Excel, but at least you know what is Excel, like the functions and all these things. They say, yeah, we know that. And then we say that, okay, you might have seen or worked with Microsoft Access, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Excel, and Microsoft Access. They say, yeah, Microsoft Access, to some extent we know that's an RDBMS sort of thing. I said, yes, bang on. If you know these three things, let me assure you that you already know Power BI. And we will be utilizing these concepts, this understanding of these three segments into one place. And if somebody says, the other day somebody asked that, okay, how do you define Power BI in one sentence or one word? So I said, Power BI, I can say Excel on steroids. That's how I would define Power BI as. So if you have been using Excel, and it is evident, today we have a population of around 8 billion on this planet, and 1 in 7 person on this planet, actually this is already a study that was conducted, and then the output was that, okay, 1 in 7 billion actually use Excel. So be it from stock market, be it from healthcare, be it from your Wall Street, be it from your manufacturing, be it from any domain you talk about, everybody uses Excel. So if I say that this is an extension of that, so definitely you have got some cushion saying that, okay, which means that I will be able to do better with this particular software application as well. So as I said, the first is PowerPoint. So this is kind of the center stage where we are going to actually build bring all our visualizations together. Then comes the second part. This is where we will see the data. And the third section is actually the Microsoft Access part that I was talking about. This is where we will be creating the relations, and this is where we will be creating the data models and work with the data models. So these are the three sections. Without wasting any further time, let me show you what we have with Power BI in terms of get data. This is something very interesting. So when you click on get data, so the data sources that you have, which we call it as common data sources. So these are the common data sources, and Excel workbook becomes the topmost one, which means that that's the most common, most popular data sources when it comes to Power BI. Then we have Power BI data sets, data flow, Dataverse. Anyway, that list goes on, and then as we go on to advanced level of this Power BI, we can definitely discuss about that as well. But to the scope of this particular session, this particular program, we will limit ourselves to concepts like CSV, text, and fortunately, we have got OData also in this common data sources, which means that out of this 8 to 10 data sources, OData is actually a part. And if you really want to explore the other data sources, you can just simply go to more, and then Power BI opens the entire gamut of different types of data sources which are actually available to you, be it from XML, be it from JSON, be it from You can actually read data from a PDF and get it into your data, your data model as well. Be it Oracle database, be it IBM DB2, you name the data source and Power BI has got that particular connector for you. Anyway, what we will do is, as we said, we will be just moving on to this option called OData feed. And OData feed, we will be using just the basic concept, the basic URL. And we saw the data which was in an XML format. And it was actually nothing but a metadata, the data structure, I would say. To read that data structure, actually there is a database behind it, the Northwind database, right? So what we are going to see now is something like this. We have just copied that URL. And now what we are doing is, we are just pasting that URL into this segment. For the first time, if you are linking this for the first time, it will ask for authentication. Now please understand, this is a public data. So which means that you don't have to actually give your ID, password, credentials and stuff like that. You can declare yourself as anonymous and then connect to this data source, something like this. The moment you hit the OK button, Power BI will connect to that data source and you will be amazed to see that what exactly or actually look like a simple data structure, now it has got almost around more than 20 to 30 different data tables. Now what we are going to do is over here, so if I just click on any one of these tables, I'm going to see the preview of this data. So this is where we are actually looking at the data, understanding the landscape of the data and actually segmenting that okay, this data is useful, not useful. Whether we should take this data, not take this data. So at least we look at the data even before bringing it to this segment. So now based on our understanding of the business or for this matter, for this particular demo, what we are going to do is we'll just based on our understanding say that okay, this is trading data. Let me take customers data, let me take products data and let me take orders data. So these are the three simple things that we can do with this data. So first of all, what we will do, we'll say I need the orders data, I need the customers data and I go down and take the products data. These are the three data points. We thought that okay, we will bring it to the data model. We were about to just click the load. And if you see the buttons over here, load transform. So we talked about ETL, so extract, which we already did. Then we have something called transform, and then we have load, ETL, extract, transform, and load. So we have a choice. We can actually go with the transformation. If you see that this data requires some cleanup, then you go for the transform. If you see that the data is clean enough, then in that case, you can directly move on to the load segment. But hold on, before we hit the load or the transform button, I immediately I got some signals over here saying that, okay, are you, and who was that? So, hey, Rupam, are you sure that these three data sets will be enough for you to do all the stuff that you're looking at? I say, yeah, I think so. They said, don't think and then rely on me. I said, okay, Power BI, as you say. They said that, would you mind clicking on that small button on this left-hand side bottom corner, which says select related tables? I say that looks like very interesting and then I would definitely love to click on that. And the moment I clicked on that, I was amazed to see that Power BI itself has actually selected all the other tables. I said, how this could happen? What is this magic all about? So Power BI says, this is not magic. This is an illusion from your perspective, but let me tell you, this is not magic. What has happened is, you know that this Northwind is a database. This is the reason why we are taking this entire session, this entire program using an ERP data, a proper database, so that I can actually show you the power of data and the power of visualization through Power BI. And the first power is this. So what I'm doing is, the moment I said select related tables, it immediately selected some of the other tables also. It says that, you know what? It's good that you have selected orders, products and customers, but I suggest that you also keep categories and employees and orders details and stuff like this. And how did it do that? Actually, when you see this is a DBMS, this is an RDBMS primarily, this Northwind database. So in the back end, we have got primary key, secondary keys, cardinality mentioned, and all these things are there. One to many, many to one, and all this stuff which we are going to see in short while. But that is there already in the backside. So it has picked up the information from that modeling, from that cardinality perspective, and then it has selected these squares primarily. So I say that no, still, I appreciate that you have selected categories. I can see that category ID is there in products also, but I don't need to do anything with the employees. So I am moving out of employees, and then order details I appreciate, orders I appreciate, products I appreciate, shippers also I don't require. So ultimately, out of the 8 tables that Power BI selected, we selected, we are going with 6 tables. And this time what we are doing is, we could go with transform, but we will do it later. For the time being, we are actually loading this data. So while we load, it is actually connecting to the server using the credentials. If it is a database, you would require the credentials. If it is not, directly it will get the data. And then on the right hand side of this particular segment, you will see all the data, all the tables which are taken which are selected. So whatever selection you have done, 6 tables, these 6 tables are now residing on this right hand side. This is the data segment. This is not it. If I may just take you to the second segment, which is the data view, you should be able to see all the data that is actually there in the database. So imagine when we saw the SVC link, it was a simple, just like a metadata. But now with the help of this tool called Power BI, we are able to go deeper. We are able to see the data exactly inside. And then the wonder thing happens over here. The magic happens over here. So if you just go to the model view, you will be able to see that all the 6 tables are interconnected now, which means that Power BI was actually able to identify the cardinality, identify the connectivity between all these tables, and it has actually joined the tables. We'll talk more about it as we proceed, but right now you can see that if I just take my cursor, you can see that suppliers and products is connected via supplier ID, and if you see orders, details and products is connected via product ID. So these all things are done. We'll talk about this star and 1 in a short while, but for the time being, now you have an understanding that okay, data is there, model is ready to some extent, the initial model. Now we will proceed with the next steps of understanding the data, cleaning the data and stuff like this. So if you talk about from the next segment, that brings us to the next segment actually of this Sigma module, which will be primarily cleaning up the data using Power Query. Right now what we have done is we have just got the data into Power BI segment. So that's it from this module of Sigma. See you on the other side. Thank you so much.